Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Fraser, and welcome to the High Performance Show. And this is a show where we look at the latest psychological research around how do we achieve our best. And this is, the stuff we talk about comes from the research we've been doing at Deakin University, as well as stuff that we source from all over the world. Now, in this episode, what we're going to talk about is mental toughness. Because our research has shown is that there are 6 key drivers of high performance. So first of all, we need regular recovery. We need mental toughness that we're talking about today. Also, we have to have a mastery mindset. We need connected relationships, a focused mind, and self-awareness. And the episode today is going to focus on mental toughness, which of course is critical to business and life in general. And the research that we're going to talk about today comes from 3 main areas. Now, the first one is the world of extreme sports. And we're talking big wave riders, skateboarders, base jumpers. And the reason we looked at these guys is they have seen a 500% improvement in performance over the last 10 years, like far more than any other group. We also took some research from the military and from business. So that's what we're going to explore today, mental toughness. So let me ask you a question. And that question is, what is the number one fear in society? Now, when I asked my wife this question, she said spiders, but it's actually not. The number one fear in society is that we're not good enough, that we're not okay. So choose your poison. It might be not smart enough, pretty enough, talented enough, masculine enough. But the number one fear in society is there's something about us that is not okay. Now, we then looked at business and we looked at what are the limiting thoughts that come up time and time again that hold people back in business. And this is them. Not smart enough, I don't have enough talent, I'll never make it, I have to have it perfect, no one's going to listen to me. These are the things that hold us back from achieving our potential in business. So let me tell you a story about a guy called Jai Zhang. Now, Jai is a Chinese-born American, so he grew up in China and at the age of 19 moved to the US he was inspired by Bill Gates. He wanted to be an entrepreneur and follow the American dream. Now, when he got there, what he realized is it wasn't that easy. It was hard to start a business and be an entrepreneur, and he got rejected over and over again. And he gave up on his dream and he got a job, and he kind of woke up 10 years later. He was married, he had a child, and he was working in a job that he hated. And he said to his wife, what happened to that dream? I wanted to be this amazing entrepreneur and I gave up on it. Now, luckily he married an amazing woman, and she said, you know what, let's save up some money. And so that you can quit your job for 6 months and pursue this dream. And at the end of the 6 months, if you are making progress, keep going. And if you're not, you can get another job. However, the problem with Jai is that he ran into these rejections. He ran into all of this and it held him back, and he gave up on the dream. And we're going to visit Jai later in the episode because he used the techniques I'm going to give you today to not only overcome these limiting beliefs, but also to build a business that is world famous and flourishing. Now, if you look at this list, what are we normally told we should do to overcome this? The most common one we hear is we're told that we just got to be more positive. Man, you just got to be more positive. You just got to think positive. You just got to believe in yourself. Now, positive thinking has been the cornerstone technique of the self-help world forever. But until recently, no one asked, does positive thinking actually work? And a woman called Joanna Wood from Waterloo University, a psychologist, studied, does positive thinking work? And what she showed is not only does it not work, but it actually makes people feel worse. Because if you don't believe the statement, all that positive thinking does is remind you of where you are, the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So with positive thinking, I walk down the street, I go, I'm a winner, I'm in a great relationship, my life's fantastic. If I don't believe that, my brain follows it and goes, no, you're not, you're a loser, you're all alone, and your life sucks. Which statement gets reinforced? The one we believe. So the first thing we've discovered in psychology is just simply saying random positive things to yourself does not work. Now, the second thing we're told to do to overcome these limiting beliefs is a thing called CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. And this has been the therapy of choice in psychology since the 80s. And what cognitive behavioral therapy says is the moment you notice a negative thought, you put your attention on it, you label it as a bad thought, and you challenge it, and you replace it with a more positive thought. So every time you have a negative thought, you go, hang on, that's not what I should be saying to myself. That's a bad thought, and replace it with a more positive thought. However, the latest research in psychology is showing is in many instances, CBT is not effective, and also it is just exhausting. And the reason psychology has looked at this differently is because of two studies. Now, the first study got a group of people to watch a video of an amputation. Now, I've seen this video and it is full on. So they literally sat them in a chair and said, you're going to watch this video. No holes barred, you see everything, sound the whole bit. And then they divided these people into three different groups. So group number one were taught CBT and were told to suppress those negative feelings and negative thoughts and to be more positive and hold it together. Group number two were told nothing. Just watch the video and see how you go. And group number three were taught, this group here, they said, you're going to have all sorts of reactions to this. You're going to watch something gross. Some of you are going to freak out. Some of you are going to feel really sick when you watch this. But all we want you to do is notice your reaction. Don't judge it, just accept it. Just accept that you're acting like this. They then monitored these three groups when they watched the video. And what they showed is the group that were told to be positive and hold it together had a massive stress response. The group that were told to not judge their response responded the best. Their stress levels were the lowest. So this was the first study that showed trying to fight those negative thoughts actually makes you more stressed. The second study was done with fighter pilots in the military. So what the military discovered is when fighter pilots feel fear, they make bad decisions. They get overwhelmed by that fear. And what they tried to do is stop these fighter pilots feeling fear. However, when they tried to do this, what they showed is their performance got even worse. Trying to fight the fear messed up their head. And then they went, well, maybe fear is a natural thing that people feel. And can we teach the fighter pilots to have the fear, but let us sit off to the side and they can experience the fear, but they can focus on the task and not get distracted by it. When they taught them this, and this is a technique I'm going to show you later in this episode of what they did, their performance skyrocketed. These guys could feel fear but not be overwhelmed by it and focus on the task. So these two studies got us to rethink psychology. So we're moving away from positive thinking and fighting our negative thoughts. And what we've shown, these techniques that we normally focus on are actually not helping us. So just to explain this a little bit different. So here's you. So let's say this is you. This is your thoughts. And this is the action you have to take to get closer to your goal. So this is the action you need. This is you. These are your thoughts. Now, what we know, when we fight our thoughts and challenge them and try and stop them, the problem is all the energy is going into that fight inside our head. No energy is going to the action we need to take. And when we try and fight our thoughts, three things happen. Number one, we fuse with the thought. So we got 60,000, 70,000 thoughts that shoot through our head a day. So we just got this stream of thoughts running through our head. Now, some of our thoughts are positive, some are negative, some are perverted. You probably wouldn't want people to know you're thinking that, but we just have this stuff shoot through our head. And the problem with positive thinking or CBT is it goes, when you notice a negative thought, you grab that thought, you challenge it, and you fight it. And all the energy you give that thought makes you fuse with it. So it goes from, I'm just having a thought that I'm not good enough, to, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. Or we might have a thought that I'm feeling overwhelmed and really stretched right now. And it goes from just a thought that's running through your head to, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed and I've got too much to do and I can't handle it. So the first thing that happens when we fight our thoughts is they become our reality. Number 2 is that the judgment of the thought as being bad creates an emotional response. So you have a thought, you judge it and go, I shouldn't be thinking that. Oh my gosh, why am I saying that to myself? The judgment creates an emotional response, and when that emotion comes up like anxiety or stress or fear, the thought gets bigger, it gets more dynamic. I'm sure you've been visited by the drunken monkey, which is the voice that comes in your head at 3 a.m., wakes you up, and you start to worry and ruminate, and things get bigger and bigger around you. And the third thing is simply to do with brain waves. When we fight this thought, we change our brain waves. Now, we think best and we are most clear when we have a low alpha, high theta brainwave. That's when we think at our best. However, when we start to get into this fight and around negative thoughts, we move up to a beta brainwave. We can't think as clear and we don't have as much clarity. So that's the evidence that shows that positive thinking and fighting our negative thoughts doesn't help us. So what do we do instead? Well, for that, we need to look at the world of big wave surfing. Now, this is a surf break called Taupo. Taupo is in Tahiti and is considered the most dangerous place to surf in the world. Now, the thing about Taupo is it's the world's thickest and heaviest wave. It's not the biggest, but it's the thickest and heaviest. And the reason for this is that the reef that the wave breaks on is about 1.5 meters deep. However, the other side of the reef, it's over 100 meters deep. So you basically have this massive wall of water come up and crash on this reef. It's just like the ocean kind of disappears. Now, on this day, there is a guy surfing this break, and his name is Laird Hamilton. And Laird is considered one of the greatest big wave riders in the world. Now, he's being towed in, because the thing about Taupo is not only is the wave thick, it's fast, it's super fast. And the only way you can get on the wave is to be towed in by a jet ski. So he's being towed in, and he's holding on to the tow rope, and he's being pulled into the wave. And he looks ahead, and those guys that I showed you before sitting off to the side start waving their arms and shouting. And he can't hear what they're saying, but the guy in the jet ski can. And what they're yelling out is, "Don't let go, stay on." And the guy on the jet ski thinks, what are they yelling about? And he turns around, and Laird sees him turn around, and his face is just overcome with fear and terror. And he starts yelling at Laird, "Don't let go," and he starts revving the jet ski.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.